it is acknowledged by the agency that it is an important topic. What we want to do today, a little bit, we only have 90 minutes, regrettably. I think we can spend the whole day, but I was told by the agency I have to be very strict, 90 minutes only. We want to look a little bit back, where we come from, why we have been setting up this activity, what was the need for this activity. Then we want to talk about practical implementation. Here I look at the first row. It's a little bit of family gathering here today with my colleagues. It's fantastic. It's going to be like a family panel. Implementation, the real experience, and then a little bit of an outlook, where we are going to, what could be the next steps. Just a question to you, who is aware of the railway safety peer review activities? Hands up. Preferably now, of course, the hands up from the CR members, the hands up from the NSAs, and from the members of the management board. So, I was hoping to have some more hands. Yeah, you should be aware as well. Who has been actively participating, or who has been active in such a peer review? I was hoping thank you very much. I was hoping it's going to be more hands, so there is definitely a need for such a session. Otherwise, I could have said we skipped the session, but there is a need. Perhaps, Kim, there is a need to promote it as well, what we have been doing, why we have been doing it. May I just say, when I read the essential amendments to the ERA's single programming document on the 27th of June this year, I was a bit worried, to be honest, because due to the Greek accidents and the activities the agency has to carry out in this light, commissioned by the Commission, we found in the first two lines of these amendments a negative impact on the agency's activities on safety culture and safety culture peer review. So that was not very nice for us as the sector to see, because we built it up for quite a while. Nonetheless, what I found here, and that is of course what you have to read in the little footnotes, or that is written in small letters, was due to a lack of internal resources, and I would like to share this with you, and considering the current level of maturity of the sector, and I think that was a very, very positive statement, and I was very happy to read this positive acknowledgement of the maturity of the sector here. Nonetheless, I would like to say the agency must be properly resourced for these activities. We would like to see the agency being resourced. That's what I can say as CR, as a member of the GRB, but a member of the management board as well. I think that is essential. We built it up. We should not stop the activities here. And this is why we say we need sufficient resources at the agency, and we need the sufficient number of staff. We have a resource from the agency here today, and a member of the staff. Kim, you've been working on this for quite a while. You have started with this, I think, in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. But then for peer review, which depends very much on exchanges, the pandemic was most probably not very helpful. That was a big challenge. I would like to hear from you now where we come from, why we set this up, what you have been contributing in terms of methodology, and how this whole thing started. Your floor.
Thank you very much, Enno. And a warm welcome to everybody from me as well. I'm really happy to see so many people here and so many familiar faces as well. It's a pleasure. Just one small detail on the transport QR code. I know at least in the buses, you can only use the scanner close to the driver. So you cannot use the scanners in the middle of the bus or in the back of the bus. Then it won't work. Only the front. I'm not sure about the tramways, etc. So just a small detail. So safety culture peer reviews. Basically, it's an assessment of safety culture done by peers from the sector. So not the authorities, not the regulators, but from peers who are actually able to share and learn with each other across organizations. And how we came to develop this is back in 2018. We started with the development of the safety culture model. I know it's familiar to quite a few people in here, but most likely not all. So you have the safety culture model. It was developed with the help of a task force under the Human Organizational Factors Network from the agency. It is composed of a green part, the safety part, and the blue part, the organizational culture part. And below each of the fundamentals, the 4 fundamentals, and the 4 enablers, we have 3 keywords as well that explains a bit what is meant behind that. So it's a model. It's not perfect in any way, but it is a very, very good and useful model to come to a shared understanding of safety culture and to break down safety culture so we can actually discuss safety culture across organizations, across member states, etc. To have a shared understanding and a common approach, a common language as well. The safety culture model is a keystone in our developments of safety culture initiatives. So for more or less all initiatives, we kind of validate towards the safety culture model as well. So after the development in 2018 of the first version of the model, we wanted to test and validate it. And we did that by partnering with Nordjyske Jernbaner. I know a few people here can say it, but most likely only a few. So we will just call it NJ. To test the safety culture model and also to test a model of peer reviews. The safety culture peer reviews inspired by what they're doing in nuclear with WANO, although adapted into a railway session. Hi Conrad, yes. Conrad knows a lot about this for sure. And also Gregory and Bart were trained and participated in a nuclear safety culture peer review, each of them. So we were inspired by this and we tried to adapt to a railway setting, knowing that resources are always scarce in the railway sector, difficult to have enough resources. So we shortened it a bit and made it a bit lighter, but still with some value for sure. NJ is a small infrastructure manager, railway undertaker, and ECM. And at the time in 2019, they had a number of staff of 120, which was a huge growth actually. They came from 19 to 70 drivers within a few years, doubling the lines they operated on. They had their old NJ staff, but they also brought in staff from the incumbent RU, the infrastructure manager, and staff from outside as well. So many different cultures coming together, and they had a strong wish to be able to work on shaping the NJ culture, safety culture, that they wanted to have. So this was a good opportunity for us to test the methodology and also for NJ to get some tools to work on their safety culture. So we did that peer review, it was Gregory and myself in 2019, and the model provided a good basis. The safety culture model provided a good basis for discussion and evaluation. We captured quite a few learnings for NJ. Many of them were already known by the organizations. Some of them were less known or unknown. We also used the safety culture model as the starting point for a questionnaire that we asked NJ staff to do before we went on site. So we had some information in a survey, and that was the first survey we did based on the safety culture model. So we had a lot of learnings as well on the safety culture model and also on the questionnaire, which later then developed into the European Safety Climate Survey done in 2021. I think Gregory will come back on that. We had very positive feedback from NJ. Statements like, we couldn't have had a better result anywhere. Using the model and going through the process means that we can speak about and structure safety culture, the safety culture work. The model was helpful in that. And the assessment gave more learnings than they could have had from any normal supervision. So very positive feedback, which also led to the conclusion that we needed to develop further. So with the support from CER, thank you for that, Enno, and some members of CER, Trenitalia, SNCF, ÖBB and SBB, we decided to go for 4 pilot reviews in 2020 and 21. That was to get more formalization of the methodology and to get a more mature way of doing it, get feedback, get learning, of course. We produced training material to train the reviewers who should participate in these reviews and conduct the reviews, and also for the team leaders who are also involved in conducting the reviews. And I will come back in a minute to actually show you what the review is all about. So we were planning the training, we were planning the reviews, and then of course came COVID. And everything came to a stop. So we replanned several times. We tried to do the training online. It wasn't really that good, that efficient. So basically we ended up in doing the first 2 reviews and the training in 2022. So it was quite a delay, but it also had the positive side to it that it meant that we also could combine it with the Twinning 2 exercise. Twinning 2 exercise, Virginie will come back on that and tell you more in details, but just to give you the overview, it was an 18-month project granted by the European Commission, running from January 22 to June 23, aiming at improving safety culture within the railway sector. It was coordinated by UIC, and it was a wish from the Commission that the Twinning 2 would have a more structured approach than the Twinning 1 that carried on a few years before. So it was obvious for us to combine this with the peer review methodology, also to have new views, new eyes, new commitment to validate and formalize the methodology. So all of these organizations were involved in the peer review as well, and we trained them from ERA side to be reviewers and team leaders. And in total now, after the trainings and the peer reviews that we conducted, we have now done 6 peer reviews: NJ, Trenitalia, SNCF, ÖBB Infrastruktur, CFL Cargo, Infrabel, and have a next one in, and the last one of the pilots that were planned in a few weeks, 3 weeks, in ÖBB Produktion in Austria. So we have gained a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, a lot of learnings. We have had very good collaboration with UIC. Thank you very much, Virginie and Frédéric, for that. And we hope to set up a scheme now. This is still under development, so I cannot give a lot of details. I can only give you the direction that we are trying to follow here. So for future peer reviews, it should be open for all organizations. It should be coordinated by UIC. From ERA side, we can participate in the way that we can train reviewers. We can provide the reporting tool and the survey. We are not sure yet how it will function on the financing side of it and the cost side, etc. That's all details that we need to structure more. But we hope, of course, that we over time can build a pool of experienced peer reviewers who can go around and do reviews where it's wanted by the organizations who wish to know more about the safety culture in a specific area. And now to how it's what it actually is, the peer review. It's built on the safety culture model, so it's that's the cornerstone. We use the attributes of the safety culture model to break down and place findings and discuss whether they actually belong in one place or another place, because it's the common language that we need to create a common understanding. So we have an optional safety climate survey for the organization. It's not mandatory, but it's definitely helpful, along with the document review that goes on before the actual on-site visit. Then we go on-site to do observations, to do individual interviews, and to do focus group interviews. So the first part with the documentation and the survey gives us some quantitative information, and then we are curious on some points and have the ability to dive down and understand better what's behind the answers, what's behind the issues that we have seen, the things that raised our curiosity, and to have more information about that during the interviews. The entire review is done in 1 week. So it begins with the team gathering on the Sunday to summarize on document reviews, etc., which is also done online, of course, before. An opening meeting with top management as well from the organization Monday morning to manage expectations. What will we do? What should they expect as an outcome of this? What do we expect from them after the review? 3 days of data collection, and then we use a Thursday to produce the final report. It's a tough job, I can say. It's funny, but it's also very, very hard work and very intense week to be able to capture all of that information, process it, and produce a final report that we can then present on Friday morning to top management again with our findings. It is done with 2 to 3 teams of 2 to 3 people, and we are producing a snapshot in time. We are not producing or finding the ultimate truth inside the organization. It's not possible, of course. So we produce a snapshot in time, and it's within a limited area. The review with SNCF, we cannot do a review for 150,000 people, or how many people are working in SNCF. So we went to see infrastructure maintenance in a limited area in Andre-Limousin. And that's where we create the value. It wasn't pronounced correct, or sorry for my French. It's not. Sorry? No, it wasn't Danish. Can you say nordjyske jernbaner? The final report, it is composed by several parts. I have an example here. It's a dummy report because, of course, we do not disclose any findings that we had in any of the reviews. It's only for the organization who participated, and of course the reviewers will learn a lot as well to take back home. But the first part of the report is a link to the interactive safety culture model. So it's clickable, and you go to our webpage, and you can have more information about what are the values and intentions behind each attribute. Whoop, sorry. Then we have an overall result, which is the summary of the peer review team. So it's the most important findings and strong strengths that we have seen throughout the week. We summarize, of course, also with the numbers. How many interviews did we do? How many focus group interviews, etc. How many people did we see? This is concluded in the summary, which is the main takeaway for top management, I would say, because that's really the value for them to understand what is our perception of safety culture in the reviewed area. Then we give feedback on all the attributes. We highlight where we see the strength and where we see the major weaknesses, areas for improvement. And finally, at the end of the report, we have all the findings with the finding and our conclusion, linking it to the safety culture model. What is it that we saw and anticipated should be a bit different, or why was it a strength? And it's possible, of course, to choose more entries, etc., to actually be able to work with this in a structured way and filter it and sort it. That was the overview, Enno. I'm sharp on time, so I hope it's okay. And of course, question and answers will come afterwards, I suppose, or will you carry on?
First of all, I want to thank you for being right to the point, very sharp, on time. Perhaps we can allow 1 or 2 questions. That's the big advantage of the moderator, because I can ask the first question. We talked about the pandemic, and that is, I think, quite important. We said the pandemic was a challenge, but I would like to ask the question if the pandemic, perhaps to a certain extent, was an opportunity as well. What have we learned? Can we go to remote working with this as well? When we started, we said we are going to move around, learn from each other face to face. Pandemic has changed us slightly. Would you say we can benefit from the pandemic, or does that railway safety peer review really only work when we see face to face, when we exchange? What have we learned from that pandemic?
That's a good question, Enno. No, but there are many things into that, I think. First of all, the pandemic actually created a bit of space for us to develop, which was helpful. I think that the review needs to be face-to-face. We need to be on site. We need to interview people. I mean, it's the body language as well. You know, it's the attitude as well, and you do not get that on the screen. Whether the pandemic changed other things is a very, very good question, which I know Michaela is addressing in her workshop, because apparently it's quite common to have a rising number of spats after the pandemic, and what the reasons are for that is still to be investigated more, which will be done during Michaela's workshop and in collaboration between organizations. But I don't know what else to say on that.
I think the answer was really clear, and I expected the answer, but thank you very much. There is a question, a comment?
Yes, just a comment also. We have a Slido tool for those who want to write or feel more comfortable to write the question, and we have a team, 2 colleagues, Fabrizio and Jane, who will filter these questions, select the most relevant. This is also valid for our online participants, but we actively encourage you to take the floor, stand up during the Q&A, or as invited by our chairperson. Thank you.
We will do this session later on, but I don't see any question. I don't see anything on Slido, so then I suggest we move on. I'm looking at my wonderful colleagues from CFL. If you would like to join me on stage, Doris and Claude. We had a preparation meeting, and I have to say, first of all, this conference is really organized in an amazing way, so I want to give this to the executive director, but as well to the safety team of the agency. The way it is organized, the smooth preparation was really helpful here, and I hope you will see this in the very good sessions here and the contributions. We met beforehand, Doris, you both, and Claude, you both working for CFL. Doris, you have been there for quite some time already. We had a quite intensive cooperation through our safety platform already. Claude, you joined recently. You come from the steel industry. There was one very important thing you said, and perhaps that's why a little bit what I want to give to the agency and the Commission as well. What you said in the prep meeting, I don't know if you realized how important that was, perhaps more important for me, but you said all these things that are coming from Europe, all these things that are coming from Brussels, it is very difficult for you to follow. And that really made me think, because we are producing a lot. We are asking you to attend all these support group meetings, first of all, at sector level. Then we send you to the agency or to the Commission. And I really started to reflect how you digest all this, how you can manage actually to be in all these meetings, and how you can implement. And that's the most important thing, how you can implement all these things. This is what I would like to discuss with you today. First of all, I would like to hear from you how you implement this safety culture in CFL, how you take all of this back, of course, what comes from the European level, the peer review, what comes from your peers, and how you actually practically work with this. And that is your intervention now to this audience. I'm very eager to hear you. Doris, I think you start. There is the time running there.
So, welcome and good morning, everybody committed to safety. All. My name is Doris Horvath. I'm head of safety of CFL Group. We are infrastructure manager, railway undertaking for passengers, and railway undertaking for freight also. And my colleague Claude, he is head of passenger train operations. We will see him then later. I move forward. I hope it's working. No? My minutes. The red one? No. The big one.
Big green one.
Okay. It was too big. So we are not so big. We are a small country. That's why we have difficulties to attend all the meetings. But we are in the center of Europe, which is really an opportunity, because it is called, I will talk to you about opportunity or burden of the peer review. We are located between Belgium, France, and Germany, and we have more than 660,000 residents, and half of them, quietly, are foreigners. I say that because we are faced in the different cultures. We meet different cultures, which is in safety also important. And we have more than 200,000 commuters every day coming to our country, only 14% by train. We want them to increase up to 19% or even 20% in 2035. This means not so much in percent, but that means a lot to do that in practically. So we transport 22 million people per year, and about 1,000 trains per day. For you, probably it does not seem very much, but for us it is a lot. And we have 68 stations in our country. And safety is our priority in strategy, as well as quality. And innovation helps us, and also the efficiency, which you see is green. Green, that means sustainable and environmentally. So safety must be sustainable. It's not a one shot, it's not one peer review. We all know that in safety. And you have always to live our core values also outside. So by everybody, our core values are cooperation, openness, respect, exemplarity, and efficiency. And I always say you can increase safety culture, which is, what is safety culture? It's not concrete. It is our attitude, what we think about safety. And that is deciding how we behave, how every one of us behave practically. Is he working safely? That is the deciding factor. So, and when you live these core values in practically, you will increase safety culture. It's very simple, but you know that it is difficult. We use normal safety tools. I don't go in every detail of every tool now because time is running, I know, but I just want to say we last implemented, we made the focus on, I just want to tell 3 themes. One is the safety dialogue, which is a big theme, communication. It is also in the enablers. The communication is very important in safety. Safety dialogue is coming from the non-violent communication tool of psychology. It, first of all, you have to go outside to see the people working, the Gamba walk, and then you hear and listen to the people who are working, and they tell us your problems, and you motivate, you observe, and motivation, we all know, that will help us to progress in implementing safety culture. And you also can address, you can aware the risk awareness. You can increase the risk awareness of each other in a sustainable way. That is safety dialogue, because you let the people think about the risk, and that is the changing in the attitude of thinking, which is sustainable. Leadership, we heard that also, that are not only the technical skills we use. It is important, of course, and technical and soft skills are together. And in the rail industry, we have some people coming from every level, and we have made a program to be addressed to all the employees. That are different programs, but we want to train every employee in leadership. That is for us very important for every theme, and especially for safety. Reporting, we will see, we were good, we had a good point in the peer review of reporting, but it is not enough. We do benchmark, and we have seen that the aviation reporting is much better than ours, and we want to make that better. Well, we'll now come to peer review. When we heard about that, you have seen in the Twinning 2, CFL Cargo, our railway undertaking freight, was member of it, and they said, yes, we will participate in the peer review. But the others, I think, I must admit, they saw it as a burden. They were a little bit critical about that. They said, ooh, who will come? ERA, UIC, who? What railway will come to see us? And we have to be open and transparent. That is not so easy in railway, you know that? Probably there are the one and the others everywhere. And then it takes a little bit time. For us, 7 months. I don't know if you see that it's a long time or not. We discussed that a lot of times. A lot of times, I must admit, it was not so easy. And then the infrastructure manager said, no, they said, we will see how it will work for the first time. You do it in the other railways, in the railway undertaking first, and then we see how it will work. And then I told Claude, you have to it will be nice to see the other peer reviewers. You can start collaborative and learning work. And then we had the 2 railway undertakings, so freight and passengers, who said, yes, we will do that. And then the peer reviewers came in February, from 20 to 24th of February this year. That was Lysia, Irish Rail, DB Cargo, ÖBB, representative of UIC, and ERA also. And they had 170 key findings. We have seen how the report was built, and they made interviews, also addresses to focus group, and it was really, now we are on the opportunity side. It was very interesting. So First of all, was a kick-off meeting. I just wanted to tell you how it was. Our first kick-off meeting, we had the opportunity to see the area safety model, which Kim has already mentioned. And then everybody was asked to encircle the theme. We thought, okay, this is a strength of CFL, and this is an area of improvement for CFL. And that was really interesting, because at the end, the closing session, we saw, okay, there I was right, and there I was wrong, and they fulfilled also the findings with concrete examples. Which I liked also at the end of the closing session was a magic hand. They tell everybody, so you can make a wish. What do you want in safety? That was really interesting, and we had a very good discussion between us, which is also fostering safety culture, to learn from each other and to be together, as Mr. Doppelbauer said. And what are the next accidents? Yes, spats, derailment, collision. This is from the report. I did not write it down. No, it was really taking off. We had a good note. We have an open and an inquisitive an approach to learn from each other, which is so in global very positive. And we come to the results. That is only now, I don't go in the details. I'll let Claude explain you on the concrete examples. Green, you see, safety fundamental was reporting and learning from each others, and the area of improvement, which are red. It is a snapshot. Yes, Kim said it is it's a photography of, they were there, they talked to people, and we have now put there, you see, ERA SCS, the Safety Culture Survey, where we participated also this year for the second time, and we compared the outputs. Also there, only 20 up to 30% participated in the survey. There also is a snapshot, and it was interesting what came out of it. That are the cultural enablers. Our strengths are the interpersonal values. I think in every survey, it's always communication, competence management, management intervention, also on site. That are always the themes you have to work on, and of course, human and organizational factors. We will fill that with life, these themes, and then Claude will give you the examples of strengths and improvement. Please.
Thank you, Doris. I will try to catch up a little bit of time.
Pardon.
So I'll try to give you some specific examples of the peer review results. I start with the easiest one, the strengths which were highlighted. And then we come to two areas of improvement. The strengths which were detected were once the interpersonal values and also learning from others. The interpersonal values, of course, we were a little bit proud that this was also coming out of the results, because it's one of our core values, as Doris explained before. And what we got as feedback is that all people who were interviewed could have a very open dialogue from the shop floor people to the top management. So everybody was free to express himself. So there was no red line or forbidden subjects to be discussed. And I think this is also very important in the safety culture, that everybody is free to express himself, even if this sometimes gives some discussions and you have different views on subject. But I think this was a very important point which was highlighted. Then learning from others, we already have heard this morning, this is a very important topic. So that's also one reason, even if it was the first time we participated, that we said, okay, from at least from the passenger train operation, that we will also participate to the peer review. We already did some benchmarks in different areas. Also, as Doris said before, with aviation. I think specifically for us in Luxembourg, it's important. Maybe in Luxembourg we are at CFL a quite big company, but of course on European level we are a small company. So I think it's very important to learn from each others, and there the peer review was a good opportunity. We also have different other programs where we try also with all the newcomers which are joining the CFL, that they are on an onboarding training. Of course, they are not only learning the safety culture, the core values, the strategy of the CFL, but we try also to bring them to all the different department or the main department of the CFL, that we also create there a kind of network by the time. So I invite you also to have a look once on our site. We are cfl.lu, where also we try to present the different jobs within the company, which is also important that people know each other and know to go to whom if they have a question. I think this is the same thing also here, that we should know each other and exchange on different subjects. Now, coming on areas on improvement, I choose two examples. One example was the working conditions. When we had the closure meeting with the peer reviewers, one point came out: working conditions at CFL. I think, and I still believe, our working conditions are not so bad at the CFL. But what happened, that was something at that moment we were not really aware. Just before the peer review started, we put in operation one of the first complete revamped Alstom train, the Series 200. After 15 years, they are completely revamped. And this is, of course, a big project. We were focused on it. New design on outside, new design inside, new arrangement for the customers, new seat, everything was perfect, very proud on it. We put the first train in operation, and then came a lot of discussion on the shop floor from the train drivers, who said, okay, we are not understanding you're spending millions for our customers to revamp the train, but in the cabin the seats were not replaced and some covers were not replaced. This was done on one hand on purpose, but we didn't reflect more on this, because these are parts which are replaced during maintenance interventions. Some screens were replaced, but this came out of the peer review, and that was one example on during the peer reviews. Of course, you also get a direct feedback what is happening. That was something which we didn't have on our focus, but which really happened during the peer review, and it was a nice feedback, or maybe not so nice, but we could work on it, communicate with the train drivers, and find a solution for this, of course. Then another, I think, a more serious also safety issue which came out, which was in fact not new for us, but that was all the potential spat risk, especially when we are driving in shunting modes. That we have seen that our train drivers are not used. Of course, we have heard before, we have a lot of infrastructure works on it, a lot of changes on the rails at the moment, so it's very important to work on this subject. This came out of the analysis of during the peer review, and for me this was also a proof that the way the peer review was done was very professional, because we didn't discuss on any subjects before, but all this was discovered or came out of the interviews. So for me, this shows that it was really done in a professional way, and the real actual subject came out. We had already done the analysis in 2022, and we also had already a specific action plan implemented in 2023 on these subjects. We also we had exchange on this afterwards with the peer reviewers. But for me, it was to prove that really they can focus on the real subject. So for me, clear conclusion, it was not a burden, it was really an opportunity, and I can really recommend it. Maybe a last word on it. it's always the discussion, and also myself, I said, okay, maybe this will take a lot of time, but at the end, it was not so much time. I think the peer reviewers, they had really a lot of work. We had to work to organize the different interviews, to make it possible that they could interview a certain amount of people. But I think afterwards I had to find time for the opening meeting, the closing meeting, a little bit of discussions. I was also interviewed. But at the end, it could be managed within a week, and very nice experience. But of course, this was not the only project we did. I will quickly hand over to Doris to...
Stay here, Claude. We will now finalize. So the peer review, it was an opportunity, and that are our big programs for this year in safety culture. So we did also the area safety climate survey, and now actually we are doing a maturity evaluation by DuPont, the experts in safety, and every output will be discussed, and in interactive workshops also taking account the people working in field, we will do action plans, and it will at the end be one action plan of CFL group, so to increase safety culture. The last slide, it is a heart. Normally you hear the heartbeat. No, you don't hear it. But safety, that's a problem. Safety is the heart of the organization of CFL, and we have to care for its health and safety. And I thank you very much for this.
Thank you very much to both of you. I think it came with a lot of passion, with a lot of enthusiasm. We will have a couple of questions, I think, that emerged from the presentation. One thing I picked up, I don't want to discuss it now, I would like to keep it for the panel session. You said it was not always easy to convince people to speak openly, to share, to exchange. It's an issue of transparency. I don't want to remind everybody in the room which part of your company you were talking about. It was on the slide on the right-hand side. We will discuss it later. I think everybody knows whom I'm talking about. This is what I would like to discuss with you later. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you.
Are there any urgent questions to our two speakers at the moment? Anything in terms of understanding, not yet in terms of discussion? No, that's not the case. Then I would like to keep in particular this question, how do we convince people to join such a peer review, how to open people up? I think that's quite a challenge as far as I understood it, not particular in the passenger domain, but in other domains. Thank you very much, and I would like to continue actually with my next speaker, regrettably already the last speaker of my panel. I think we could spend actually some more time on this. Virginie, if you would do me the favor to come to the stage, accompanied today, which is not indicated in the agenda by Neil.
So where is
Just a quick introduction before you start. I know you're passionate.
Okay, sorry.
Virginie, without going through your CV now, there is a thing we have in common because we started both at the very same time at the UIC. We're not going to tell anybody now when we started, because otherwise they start calculating. Exactly, we skip this. But the most important thing, and we were a bit younger in those days, was when we started discussing, and I think you remember this quite well, health and safety culture. I think it was very, very difficult to bring this to the agenda of the UIC platforms in those days. And I think not everybody was eager to listen.
Exactly.
It was very, very difficult to make people listen to these topics because it was so far away from those topics we discussed in those days. You made a great job, a huge effort on bringing these topics repeatedly to the agenda. You were not alone. May I mention Frédéric Enno here as well?
Sure.
Because that is a big team exercise. He is over there in the room. That's the hand up right now. I just want to mention it. And I would like to hear, because we heard already from Kim about the methodology, we heard from our CFL colleagues, from Claude and Doris, how they implemented, and I would like to hear from you now how we continue. I just mentioned Twinnings 2, the activities you have agreed with the agency, and this is what I would like to hear from you and your colleague Neil. Now, it's your floor.
Thank you, Enno. Thank you so much for this recognizing that, yes, it was not easy at UIC to put that in the agenda. But now, with the help of Frederic and also with maybe some directive on HOF and safety culture, also it helps a lot to speak seriously and practically about HOF and safety culture. That's in brackets, but thank you, Enno, for the presentation, and I would like also to thank CR for their help in setting up the Twinning 2 consortium. I would like also to thank Sarah for inviting me today at the ERA Safety Days and for the role they played in the Twinning 2 project. And I would like also to thank the European Commission for supporting such an important project in the rail sector. And because today is the final event of Twinning 2, as you understood, we have already some piece of presentation with CFL, and I will explain you. I will give you another view of the project, and then I would like after to give the floor to the main actor of this project, because I was not alone. We were a lot of people. And so I will give the floor to Neil, who is there, but also people who couldn't come today. And so we have some video from them and to listen to their feedback on Twinning 2. So Twinning 2 is an 18-month project, as Kim said before. It's today is the end. Normally, it should have been in June 2022, but we had, fortunately, a really good extension from the European Commission to do the final event today, behind you. And so it's an 11 partners consortium from 5 countries, and UIC was a project coordinator. This is a consortium, 8 railway companies, 2 NSA from France and Luxembourg, UIC and ERA in delivering the safety leadership training and supporting us all along the project with the methodology. So, rapid overview, this project aims at improving the safety culture in the European rail sector. How we did that? By identifying strengths and area of improvement in safety culture in the members of the consortium. It was by also developing methods, recommendations, suggestions to the member of the consortium, and also to focus absolutely on practical experience within the consortium members. So it's really practical, this project. What were the objectives? It was to conduct 3 peer reviews. I will explain later. It was also to share knowledge on safety and to raise our awareness on safety culture in the European rail sector, and to exchange on technical failures and organizational aspects. And that's what we did. So this is the structure of the Twinning 2. It was divided in 4 activities. As I think Kim said, the Twinning 2 is really much more structured than a Twinning 1. So it was really well organized. In the activity 1, we had the ERA safety leadership training. Why? To have a common basis, to have a common understanding of what are the vocabulary used in peer review, the method, and the definition, the common definition. So we had also, we started here to prepare the peer review that are coming afterwards. And it's also in the activity 1 to analyze the first gap in the documentation on safety culture. In the activity 2, we had to have a fair rules in order to manage the raw data from the railway companies, okay? Some people are giving raw data during interview, observation, and so we have to be careful not to do, to well organize that. And so we define what we call individual scale and team attribute scale in order to be structured and to keep these raw data and these findings in a good way. In the activity 3, it was the conduction of the 3 peer reviews, and then we identify good safety culture practices, and we developed guidelines. In the activity 4, it was a matter of dissemination and project management. So this is the key actor of a peer review, like it was in Twinning 2, but like it can be in the future peer review. So at the beginning, you have a host company, CFL, OBB, Infrabel, for example, and many others. You have a request. We want to conduct a peer review. Okay. So after UIC is coming, sorry. First, the host company is nominate a host coordinator, okay, who have to organize everything. And then UIC is enter into the game. We nominate a UIC coordinator. For Twinning 2, it was me and Frederic. And then we built a peer review team. In this peer review team, they nominate team leaders, like you were, yes? And so then we have a connection with ERA, with the ERA safety leadership training and the methodology. And then in green, we meet all these people in the host company, management, contractor, support services, frontline staff, and maybe sometimes unions when it's possible. So what is a peer review in practice? It's a major decision for the host company, a strong commitment to know more about safety culture. It's a challenge. It's also a tool, a methodology, to find out how your staff is living, experiencing, is understanding and is feeling safety in their daily work. It's also 6 days on site at the host company, as it was said before by Kim. For Twinning 2, it was 3 peer reviews conducted at OBB, the first one, in November 2022, at CFL in February 2023, and at Infrabel in April, I think, 2023. And it's also an experienced peer review team. This is a peer review in practice. And then I would like to share with you this example of a timeline of a peer review. And I agree with CFL that it's not only 6 days. Sorry, it's much more. It's much more because you have to prepare. You have to prepare. 6 days, it's on the site. But before, you have to prepare the team. You have to construct the team. You have to nominate team reviewer. You have to, as I said before, define the goal. What are the goals of the peer review? What are the scheduling? What are the scope of the peer review? So there is a lot of work before, because you have also to read lots of documentation, because when you go on the field, before you receive documentation from the host company, and you have to read it to know a bit where you go. And also, UIC is organizing many coordination meetings just before, some months before. And so that's not only 6 days, but the conduction of the peer review on the host company site, it's 6 days, and I will not come back on that because Kim already described how it works on the field. It's a lot of work. It's really a lot of work, but it's really valuable and a good experience. And so after the on-site 6 day, there is a reporting phase also. It's not finished. The peer review team meet together again. I would say maybe sometimes 10 days after the end of the peer review to be clear still in the peer review. And then we debrief what worked well, what didn't work well, and we improve because we are not perfect. And so also after in the host company, it's time for them to digest the final report of the peer review and maybe to include some insight, input inside future action plan, future roadmap, etc. So I more or less agree with this 7 months. It's maybe we are near to the reality, even for UIC side, because. Alors, so what are the benefits of conducting a peer review? You heard already from CFL. You will heard from other people from this consortium Twinning 2. But I would say at high level, it's really to keep and to develop this systemic view of safety with maybe many other tools existing in your company. And it's also to develop a positive approach of safety culture for the host company and for the team of reviewers. And so I will not go through this slide because I think the host company and the team of reviewer and the team leader will explain themselves about the benefits from Training 2 as CFL did already. So now, alors, I would like to, alors, wait a minute. Okay, so Ludwig Koschusnik. Ludwig Koschusnik was in the consortium. He is from OBB Infrastructure. He couldn't be there today. That's why he kindly registered this video. He was host coordinator, team reviewer, and team leader in Twinning 2. And so if we can see his video.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ludwig Koschutnik. I am responsible for the safety management system in ÖBB Infrastructure in Austria. We participated in the Twinning 2 project in ÖBB. It was the first peer review. I was the company coordinator, and together with the peer review team, we learned a lot in this week. Yes, there are also disadvantages. It costs time, it costs money, and it is not always easy to get out the relevant people from their daily business. And we had some problems with the language. But, and this is a big but, we got an overview about our company's safety culture. We got some insights from outside, and this is a very important view. We also got many details about behavior, about perceptions, expectations, and the level of implementation of our safety culture vision in the daily business. The peer review showed us some improvement areas where we can now implement measures to improve the safety culture in these areas. And we also got good practice areas, which is important to know where we are on the right way. We can use this information to implement the given results in other areas. All concerned departments are working now to create appropriate measures and to implement this positive approach in the daily work. This peer review delivered the basis for our next steps in our safety culture program, and it's a big help for improvement. Unfortunately, I cannot be present with you at the safety days. Therefore, I wish you with this message fruitful and interesting days and many ideas in terms of safety. And I wish you a big success in implementing these ideas in your company's daily life. All the best for you personally and all the best for the European railway system. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Thank you. So thank you, Ludwig. Please, Michaela. say thank you to Ludwig. And now I would like to give the floor to Neil Blakely, who is from Irish Rail. So Neil was a team leader and a reviewer in Twinning 2, and I give you the floor.
Should I just press this? No? Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me? Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Very good. Very good. So I was given the amazing yet daunting honour of leading the team of peer reviewers at Infrabel. Luckily, the third peer review exercise, so I got to learn from exercises 1 and 2. Kim showed us a slide earlier showing the peer review over 1 week. Peer review is much more than that. As a team leader, my job is to get the team on the pitch for that week. So all the preparation which is done beforehand is vital. The consultation with the hosts, we had Bernard Pennis from Infrabel. He was a tremendous host. He couldn't do enough for us. The practical arrangements, which are ultimately very important. So we have our meeting rooms and we have places to go. But more than that as well, bringing into the social aspects, peer review involves tense discussions during the day. You have 14 people from different nations, different points of view. Long days. Things are going to get tense, and they did get tense. And it was great to break that tension over dinner in an evening, and that was all made possible by Bernard and his detailed preparation in making things right for us. A peer review requires sharing. As the team leader, I'm tasked with producing a report at the end of the week. If you go into an organisation and people aren't willing to share, then we have no report. Doris spoke earlier about openness and transparency. My big concern was we may not get that. I need not have worried. The people at Infrabel was more than happy to share both their positive and negative feedback of their experiences within the company. One of the difficulties with peer review, and we've already had it here, is language. You know, my version of English is quite different to your version of English, to your version of English. It's not the same. But one of the things I found across the 3 peer reviews was we all spoke common railway language. It was almost as if there was an empathy within the room during the interviews that everybody was talking railway. And that was it. It didn't matter if it was in Dutch, whether it was in French, German, Luxembourgish, or in English. And that was very comforting to have. Delivery of the report, always going to be a delicate balance. You have a management team who, of course, everybody wants to hear everything is wonderful, but at the same time, very cognizant of the fact that things might not be, and we want openness and honesty being delivered. It was very comforting to hear from the CFL team that the report we got was accurate. So, my own personal view. Yes, I have the real. For me, it was a fantastic opportunity to learn both personally, I felt, for our team and for the organisations involved. I would strongly recommend anybody who gets the opportunity to lead a team to do so. Okay, it's once in a lifetime opportunity. And then to close, I'd finally like to thank the team who worked very patiently and diligently on our 3rd peer review in producing what I feel was a strong report. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So I have a bit of 5 minutes. Thank you, Enno. But I have 2 videos of 5 minutes. So I had 3 and 2, so 5. So can we go for the video from Infrabel? It's the same, feedback from Twinning 2. Thank you for that.
My name is Natasha de Dekker, and I work for Infrabel, the Direction Asset Management in the area Northwest.
My name is Vincent van Houten. I'm the manager of the Safety Culture Division within Infrabel.
I participated in the role of facilitator. I planned the interviews with my colleagues. I explained the purpose of the project to them, and I intervened in case of language problems. I also accompanied the team during their observations of night work.
So my team has made all the preparations for the event, making sure everybody's at the right place at the right time, making practical arrangements with the colleagues in the work field. Once the event started, they made sure everybody was accompanied at all time to the places they needed to be. Needless to say, all of this wouldn't have been possible without the very welcomed cooperation of the people in the work field.
At first, I was a bit anxious because I didn't know how my colleagues would react, because after all, it was a complete team of strangers asking them questions. But I found it really heartwarming that they opened up and they gave their honest opinions about everything. Some people were actually surprised that we asked them how they felt about safety and safety culture. They didn't expect that question. One person even asked me if I was sure that it wasn't a mistake that I invited them for the interview, because he said, "I'm just an ordinary guy, not a supervisor."
The fact that it's very enriching to have all these professionals from all over Europe from the railway sector that help us to assess the safety culture within our organization, being able to give their own opinion about the things that are going well as the things that we can improve upon. I think it's a really added value.
The results of the Twinning 2 project show us that we have to use the experiences of the people in the work field to help us to continuously improve safety.
So the results from the Twinning 2 peer review will help us construct the safety roadmap for Infrabel, together with other inputs we have received up until now. So more to come.
Thank you. And yes, we have to stop? Okay, sorry. So I have to cut my CEO. Sorry, Mr. Daven. Can I? Well, okay. It's a life. I will. Just one word. Bon, after, sorry, I will just go directly to this slide and I stop. So we want a final word on Twinning 2. It's an important project, and we want to continue. UIC and ERA is okay. We decide that with your support. And we want to give you four things to help you. One, safety culture peer review handbook that we just finished on Friday, so it's a really fresh news. We have an experienced team of reviewers. We have UIC, who is willing to coordinate all the future peer review at European level and international level. And as Kim said, ERA as safety leadership, who will deliver the safety leadership training and the methodology. And we will create a board together to manage everything. So I think we made all, the support to help you take the good decision on the future to conduct a peer review. And then you can, this is the safety culture peer review handbook we finished on Friday. There is a QR code, so you can scan it and upload it directly on your mobile device. And then, because that's also a human experience, peer review. This is a peer review at OBB, the kickoff meeting, with big smile for everybody. And the peer review at Infrabel at midnight, waiting for a night work shift. And then peer review at CFL with Ludwig, that you heard, who was the team leader of this So that's it. I put the last slide here. Thank you, and thank you, Enno, for giving me more time, and I hope you enjoy the presentation.
Thank you very much. If you would join me here quickly for a discussion, all of you, of course, there is nobody excluded. Virginie, I'm very sorry that we had to cut the intervention from François Daven. No, you should not tell him, but I was in between now.
It's Enno, it's not me.
I was in between having trouble with François Daven or with Josef Doppelbauer telling CR is late or the members are late, and that is quite difficult for me. We'll figure this out in the coffee break. Thank you very much, first of all, for these amazing presentations. Congratulations for the work we see. We should still see on the screen. That is now the freshest piece of work you have delivered. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
I don't see any slide or questions here right now, but I would have some questions. And there were a couple of things coming up in the presentations. And one thing I detected was the issue about the openness. And I would like to come back to this point. Virginie, it was in the, and I love this Infrabel video, I have to say. It was worth watching it. The guy who was doubting that he was at the right meeting or if he should have been invited, and that they listened to him. And I think that's a quite important aspect. But making people, open people up, making them speak, I think that is something that is quite challenging. Can Doris and Claude, can you tell me perhaps how, and you said the thing, now we can say it, about the infrastructure manager. There was some resistance, I understood. How can we make people speaking, how can we make them exchanging openly and transparently without fear? I think that's a crucial point.
Yes, I think it is not easy. It is not enough to say, hey, tell me about your incidents. This is not working. It is also not working to write an email with a procedure and say, hey, just apply it. That is not enough. We all know that. You have to go and see the stuff and to create the climate, to create the environment, to build up a confidence so that people open each other. And that is the point. And that is not from that. If you listen and if you treat their problem and if you solve their problem and if you implicate the problem and if they feel recognized and motivated, and that is a key of presence on field, listen, leadership, to create the environment to do so.
I think also on the shop floor you already have to have a certain culture that people are allowed to express them openly. That's something I think at the CFL we worked on it already for several years, but it's right, it's once on the management, top management to be ready and to take the decision, yes, we are doing it, but then afterwards also to trust your people and then let them speak and then handle whatever is said or the subjects which are raised up. Maybe, as I gave also the example, sometimes you get just the subject of what is ongoing on the shop floor at that day, the snapshot. And I think it's important to have the culture, just let people speak openly and then you get the information and then you have to handle them afterwards.
Thank you. Virginie, I have a question to you as well, and I see the question on the screen. This is how I would like to close. The UIC will continue with these activities. What is the, let me say, the support from the sector, for the further support from the sector the UIC would need for continuing these activities? Could you tell us a little bit about this? How do you see the future? Because we understood now that the UIC is very much into this business, will facilitate these peer reviews. We're very happy as CR, I want to openly say it about this, because we think that belongs there. What more of support would you need? How shall it continue?
I need requests from host company first. If you wish to conduct a peer review, please tell us, Frederic and myself. And after, I think at the moment, it's maybe too early to answer you clearly because we have the support from ERA. That's a common agreement in between us through the methodology and the safety leadership training. And then maybe we will also need people to enlarge the team of reviewer, because at the moment we are 10, 12, it's not a lot. We cannot traveling every week to there. So we have to enlarge, and so that means that if you are also interested to becoming a peer reviewer or a team leader, you can also contact us or ERA, and there is a special training for that, 3 days training to prepare you to become a team reviewer, and there is also you have to know a bit on HOF and safety culture in terms of knowledge. But at the moment, I need also CR to agree on that. So that's not me, but UAC and ERA, and that's it. Maybe Frederic, if you want to answer more, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think he is prepared.
Yeah, he's there.
It does not yet work.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, you hear me. So formally, what I can say is that there is a formal agreement with CER in ERA to carry on this activity as coordination, UIC. ERA is going to offer for free once a year some training sessions for every entity who is willing to deliver some peer reviewers and some team leaders. So thanks to these trained people, we will normally organize a team of peer reviewers able to run around Europe and to perform peer reviews on a voluntary basis. We are going to record the people and the bodies who are willing to perform peer reviews, and we will make a plan, and we will run this activity on a regular basis, but on a voluntary basis, of course. But UIC will deliver the technical support with the ERA, with the advice of CER to organize all this. So clearly there is nothing precise yet, but it's under construction for carrying on this activity as a core activity for the railway associations which are here today.
Thank you very much. As I said in the very beginning, it's a little bit of family gathering here on the panel. You know where we are all from. There is a very interesting question now in the chat. So now the extended family, because we are not alone on the network. Neil, I don't know if this is now the nicest question for you. Let's try. But I think it's a crucial question, actually, and it's how to overcome the natural reluctance of different companies, I would say different operators here, to share safety-critical data. That's an openness among sector stakeholders, being competitors. Can we reflect about this a little bit?
Yeah. Again, can people hear me?
Yeah.
No indication here. Peer review at its heart is about the sharing of good practice. Okay, so if organizations aren't willing to share and get over this reluctance of sharing the safety critical data, how are they going to learn? They're learning within a box then. And they're constraining themselves just through that approach to things. So if we start sharing our information and taking that global view across the sector will develop, and good practice, be it in the far east of Europe, will find its way across to Ireland and vice versa, right across the European Union.
Thank you. Virginie, there is another question. May I assume that nobody is actually excluded from the approach of the peer review? Can we answer this question to how are you planning to involve also companies from Central and Eastern European in the peer review process?
Yes, so as I said, we will conduct the peer review at European level and at international level. So that's really clear. We are here for every UIC members and non-UIC members, open to people who want to know more about safety culture, depending on the model of safety they are using. Okay, so we are at UIC. It's really international. So we will adapt to the environment of the people we will peer reviewed. So it's open to everybody. Voilà. I cannot be more clearer than that. There is someone.
Yeah, I see questions from the audience. I think we had two. We take the gentleman in the back, yes?
Götz Walter from VDV in Germany. I heard your message that it's open for all. Do you have in mind that there is also a high number of companies in the market where the whole company is much smaller than the whole peer review team you showed on your slides? How you will be able to include these companies which play an important role in the market in such concepts?
That's a good question. Maybe it's not for me, I don't know. Yeah, so I would say you're right. They are smaller companies, so we have to think about that and maybe find another way to work with them. At the moment, I cannot answer because it's just after Twinning 2, we finished 3 peer review. We haven't got imagine all the situation, but thank you for this interesting question on the kind of companies. Maybe if you want to.
Sorry. Yeah. So Chris Jackson from Railway Gazette. Just thinking, would you regard it as beneficial to have people who have been reviewed then joining the review teams for future peer reviews? Is that a positive feedback loop?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say yes. I think it is, because we also learned throughout the reviews with the review teams that the first twinning was really difficult in Austria. Needed to have a lot of assistance from my side, as I had tried it before. But then we saw at CFL and also at Infrabel, the maturity of the reviewers with the experience helped amazingly a lot, really. It made the process a lot easier. So the experience also from those hosting is very important as well and contributes. So yes, that would be a good starting point, I would say as well.
Regrettably, we are at the end of the session, but I have one last question to the agency. We heard from the UIC that they will continue this this peer review. We heard from CFL they are working on parts of their business to get them peer reviewed. What can we expect from the agency in the next month or years in this respect?
Well, our role, and I think it's in line with the first question here, if I can address that one as well, Enno. We have online here a question whether it's a problem with the certification that we do from the agency, and that we have participated in the peer reviews, giving some insight about the organization. It's a very good question and relevant question, I would say. Because this double role is not really sustainable in a long run. So from our side, it was the development of the methodology to put the ship in the water and hopefully to have it sailing on its own, being run by USC and all the organizations who wish to participate with peer reviews, etc. So the training of reviewers, of team leaders, etc., we can conduct that still. That doesn't mean that we get any direct information about the review. And of course, the reports are confidential and stays with the organization and the review team. So it's a good and relevant question that we have this issue with a possible double role here.
Thank you very much. And with this, I would like to conclude. We heard about the methodology from the agency. We heard about the implementation from CFL, and we heard a little bit about the future, how we are continuing with the railway safety peer reviews from the UIC. That was very interesting for me. I hope it was encouraging for you actually to get into this topic. Next time I would like to ask the question, who is aware of peer reviews, who has been actively contributing and being involved? More hands go up. This is my dream, actually. But I think it should not only be a dream, but it's quite beneficial actually for everybody. This is what I have heard, but there are still a couple of issues to solve. We heard one question from Götz Walter from VDV. I think this is what we take back. With this, I will close this session. Thank you very much to my amazing colleagues for their presentations. Thank you very much and for your attention.